Chapter 10. A lady around her late 30s or early 40s stood up. "Who are you, and why are you in a cave?" sought Kate, completely puzzled. She could only see the lady's silhouette in the dim cave light and could tell nothing else. She felt her heart sink, realizing it wasn't her dear sister. However, she then was wondering why anyone else would be in here and who it was. "I am Carabella. Ever since I was 8 years old, I lived in this cave, caring for injured animals by using herbs around the mountain." "We can't be too loud, for I have a baby deer here sleeping. What's your name?" Carabella whispered. "I am Kate, and I think it's great that you help the animals. But how come you've been here since you were 8 years old?" "Let's go outside so we do not disturb the fawn." Now in the light, Kate could see Carabella had hair that was dirty blonde and came down beyond her back, much like Miss Sarah's, only longer. Carabella has crystal green eyes that sparkle in the light, but strangely to Kate, she was wearing clothing made from vines woven together. It looked somewhat comfortable, in a way. Still, Kate knew she never wanted to wear something like that. Carabella stood there barefoot, and the little girl wondered how the sharp rocks and twigs did not bother her. Perhaps she had adjusted after some time. "First of all, who is Tahra?" she asked the child. "She is my sister, and she has been missing since Monday. Tomorrow will be a week," answered Kate in a worried tone. "I see. Well, here is a useful tip. Your sister is not in these mountains, so stop wasting your valuable time." "How do you know?" demanded Kate, shocked and confused. "Besides, this lady doesn't even know who Tahra is. How could she possibly know she isn't on these mountains?" "The animals would have told me," she explained. "Why have you been here since you were 8 years old?" Kate inquired, changing the subject because it still made no sense to her. "My family was going camping in the mountains for a week. My sister, Jennifer, and I went off exploring. We began to play chase. I got a 10-second head start, but I ran this way and that way, and soon I realized I was lost. I kept going, figuring I would find my way back, but I kept getting more and more lost. Then I came to this cave and decided to wait for Jennifer or my parents to find me. A week later, no one came. That day, I found an injured bird. It had a bad wing, and I felt so bad. I knew some herbs and quickly nursed it back to full health. In return, the bird helped me learn other herbs around the mountains. It wasn't like I was alone either. The one wolf took care of me and taught me the ways of the mountains. I was born and until that trip raised in New York, in case you were wondering. However, I never felt I belonged there, but here, oh, it is paradise. I believe everything happens because fate wishes it, and we are destined to different endings. Mine was to help all the animals here in the mountains," Carabella explained. "Wow, that's quite a story." "Yeah, I'm just glad that I love this so much and learned so easily. I love living in the mountains way better than I had the city, but I miss my family, especially my sister. She was my everything." "I'm very sorry, but I better get going. I hope you find your sister one day. I'm sure she misses you." "It's fine, don't worry about it. The animals have become my family, which is why they guard and protect the mountains. They know I do not want any child to get lost here and suffer the same fate as I. So they warn me if they find a child wandering alone. That is how I know your sister is not on these mountains." She paused and then continued, "You'll come visit, won't you? I wish you all the luck finding your dear sister. I probably won't ever see mine ever again. You're the first human I've seen in years." "Of course, Carabella. Next time, hopefully Tahra will be with me. She loves taking care of animals and would love to learn more. Thanks for your help letting me know that she's not on the mountains." "Sure, anytime. That's what I'm here for. Bye, Kate." During that moment in the police station, Marietta and Christina sat side by side, finishing up filing the last of the cases from the day. Marietta piped as she put the final folder away. "Do you still want to go to the dinner tonight, as we talked about earlier this week?" Christina responded, "Of course. It's always nice getting to spend the evening with my best friend that doesn't involve work." "Agreed. So where do you want to go?" "It doesn't matter to me. You can pick." "How about we begin walking, and whatever looks the best, we will go there." Christina nodded. The two left the station and strolled the streets. The town in the air was calm, with a few people out taking walks. Birds were soaring through the sky, singing and enjoying the weather. A breeze blew and encased them in a warm, sweet scent. "Let's go to the restaurant giving off that wonderful smell," suggested Christina, and Marietta didn't argue. They rounded the corner and found the source and went inside. It was lit by flickering candles, and the bright brick walls with a wooden floor gave off an old-fashioned energy. Despite having been there before, Christina gazed around the room amazed. There were only a few people there at that time. One group was a family with 3 children and the parents. Near the front was an elderly couple, and off to the right was a pair. The pair seemed like silhouettes in the dim lighting, but Christina could still see their hands linked on top of the table. She smiled, picturing nights out with Chris. The man leaned over and kissed the lady's cheek. It warmed her heart, seeing the lovebirds so content. The host led Marietta and Christina over towards the table on the right side. The two thanked the host and sat down. Christina glanced up from her menu at Marietta and caught a glimpse at the pair sitting only a few tables away. They no longer were shadows, and she could make out their hair color and features. She stared in the direction for a long moment. "Are you all right?" inquired Marietta, cutting into Christina's thoughts. She whispered, "Yeah. Is it just me, or does that man sort of resemble Chris?" Marietta turned to look, without making it obvious. "I can see what you are saying. Maybe he has a twin brother?" "No, he told me he is an only child. Anyway, it's just weird." She turned her attention back onto the menu, assuming it was only the lighting. However, when the two got up to leave and headed near her table, she was able to see it was him. "Chris?" He swallowed. "Oh, hi. What are you doing? Who is she?" "Same as you, eating dinner." "Okay, but you didn't answer my other question." The lady answered, "I'm his girlfriend. Who are you?" Christina clenched her teeth while glaring at Chris. "I'm his girlfriend." "Oh. Chris, explain yourself now." He glanced at the ground and informed, "I was going to tell you. I wanted to make sure, though. I prefer her, and no offense, but I do. So, yeah, have a good evening." He quickly walked away before Christina could scream at him. Marietta didn't say a word and waited for her best friend to say something. She was surprised she hadn't exploded yet, especially when she spoke calmly. "I guess you were right, Marietta. Love doesn't exist, only pain. Perhaps every man's mission is to destroy a lady's world. You are so wise for choosing to stay out of relationships entirely." Marietta, being optimistic, encouraged, "Maybe you just found a rotten one. Surely all men cannot be so horrible. You always tell me to get out there and lower my walls. Don't build walls around your heart, or else you may miss out on the one you're meant for." "No, Marietta." Silence fell upon the table, and except for ordering their food, the two did not speak another word the entire meal. They left, and the second they stepped outside, Christina unleashed the storm inside she had withheld. "I cannot believe him. Seriously, how could he do this? He swore he loved me. We were together for over a year, and then it falls apart like this. Why did I ever trust him? I have you, and that's all I ever need. I will never, ever risk falling in love again. It's not worth it. Besides, they are all the same. How could I have been so stupid?" Marietta pulled her dear friend in a hug and promised, "You're not stupid. He is. He lost you, and trust me, it's for the best. If he cannot see your worth, then he wasn't worth anything. Don't give up. You may yet find the one who will sweep you off your feet." Christina wiped away her tears, but it didn't matter. More kept flowing. Marietta kept her arm around her friend and walked her home. For a few hours she sat there talking to her, trying to cheer her up, but it was a difficult challenge. While all of this was happening, on the calmer side, Beth sat in her hotel room wondering what had happened earlier that Jennifer had to leave so suddenly. She wondered if there is anything she could have done differently that could have made Jennifer feel a little bit better, because earlier she seemed rather upset. However, Beth remembered earlier the publisher told her there is nothing she could do to help. Still, though, it bothered her, and she wished she could do something, anything, to feel useful. It really tormented her because she felt defeated in trying to find her precious Tahra and now cheering up her publisher. Memories of the past floated in, and she felt like a failure in everything except for publishing her books. Back on the mountains, Kate and Nick reached their house at about the same time, a little after 7 o'clock. While they were grooming the horses, Kate told Nick about Carabella and that Tahra wasn't on the mountains. "What? That's crazy! If she isn't in the mountains, then where is she?" Nick questioned, worried and not fully believing it. Besides, he wondered how he never crossed the cave for Carabella before, when she had been there for so many years. In his mind, it did not line up. It wasn't that he didn't trust Kate, but he didn't want to give up scouring the mountains when it seemed like that was the only possibility. He believed if Tahra was in town, someone would have spotted her from all the posters and brought her home. To him, he concluded that meant she had to be in the endless hills. Meanwhile, in New York, Jennifer sat at her desk in her house. On her lap sat her cat, perfectly content and purring. Gently, she ran her hand back and forth on her cat's back. Her first book she wrote, Camping Trip, lay on the desk in front of her. The tan pages were dyed black from the ink. One by one, crystal tears tumbled down Jennifer's pale face. The book was the original copy. She had handwritten it when she was camping with her 8-year-old twin sister, Carabella. Carabella had given her a few ideas for the book and even helped write it. Her main idea was to add a Pegasus to the story, and after that mythical creature came to symbolize Carabella, which is why Jennifer named her company in honor with the logo containing a Pegasus in the clouds. No one knew what happened to Carabella. They assumed the mountains had swallowed her. Jennifer longed to know what really happened that day, but knew she would never know. Jennifer didn't care about her other books that got destroyed because she had other copies of them. But Camping Trip, she only ever had the handwritten one. There was no possible way for her to get it back, and the only thing she held dear was now destroyed. Losing that book felt as though she had lost her sister all over again. She hated feeling so broken, but it was a wound that she knew would never truly heal. It didn't help that it came undone and was exposed once more. Not too far away, in the hotel room, Beth still sat on the chair by the table. She couldn't fight the feeling that something really bad had happened earlier. Finally, Beth decided to go to Jennifer's house and talk to her and possibly find a way to help. Fortunately, there had been a time when the publisher requested Beth meet her in her home instead of at the busy publishing building, or else she might not have known where she lived. Surely Beth figured there had to be something she could do, even if it only meant giving her a smile. Knock, knock. Jennifer stumbled over to the door and answered it. Hello, Beth. What brings you here? Sought Jennifer, gloomy. Beth could see her eyes were red from crying and could hear the sadness in her voice, no matter how hard she tried to cover it up. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, and now I see I was right. How may I help? Inquired Beth, determined to do whatever it would take to cheer her up. I'm afraid there's nothing you can do, Jennifer sighed. Are you sure? Positive, unless you can turn back time. Well, I cannot do that. What happened earlier? Jennifer explained every detail, bringing herself to more tears. My goodness, that is absolutely horrible, agreed Beth. Jennifer nodded sadly. Changing the subject, Jennifer said, Well, it doesn't matter now. What's done is done. There is nothing we can do. In life, not always does everything go our way, and sometimes the worst things happen, but we have to live with them anyway. Besides, I know Camping Trip word for word. I probably will be able to rewrite it in no time, except it'll never be the same as the original copy. I can't spend the rest of my life mourning over my lost. I must look past the bad and look to the wonders of the future. I don't want you to have wasted your time here. So since you are here, we might as well finish our meeting instead of doing it tomorrow. Jennifer, I understand why you would say that, but I do believe you really don't want to do anything right now. I think you want to sit down and have time to yourself, Beth spoke, thinking of Jennifer and how she must feel. Earlier, yes, that is why I left, but I'm a little better now. I'd rather have something to do to get it off my mind. Now, where did we leave off at our meeting earlier? I believe we were last talking about my newest book. Oh yes, that's exactly where we were at. Thank you. Now, you already told me you found this book in your closet that you never finished, but started it in 7th grade, right? Yes. All right, so by chance, do you remember what first inspired your idea of creating this book? Jennifer asked casually. Matter of fact, I do. My English teacher at the time gave the class an assignment. Everyone in class would have to write a short story. I was afraid I would not be able to write the story because at that time I had no ideas. I believe that other students also didn't know where to start as well. I know I was thinking too hard about it and thought there were strict guidelines of what the story must be about, or that we'd have to use a certain amount of vocabulary words that we learned all year. Oh, so this was at the end of the school year. Yes, a third of the last week of school to be exact, and we had 1 week to complete it. That night, our teacher let us go home and think about ideas we might have. The next day, the first thing our teacher asked us if we came up with any good ideas overnight, but most of the class still said they had no clue. Then our teacher explained that this was our story and we could do whatever we wanted, and the only guidelines were that we had to use our imaginations and be original. She told us we could get as wild as we wished or keep it simple. As soon as she said that, I had all of these wonderful ideas. I pulled out a piece of paper and wrote them down. My teacher clearly saw that spark within me light up because she called me up after class. She said she could see I had all these ideas and asked me what they were, so I told her. I took 20 minutes simply explaining them to her. She was amazed and told me that someday I will make a wonderful writer. A week later, I wasn't even close to finishing my story, but my teacher said that was all right because she knew how many ideas I had. I told her I probably failed this assignment because I didn't finish. She told me that good books or stories take work and that it didn't matter that I didn't finish my story, and it wasn't like I just sat there and goofed off. I worked up until the bell each day. Wow, that's amazing. You just never know where ideas will come from. Do you remember your teacher's name by chance? Yes, of course. It was Mrs. Mary Margaret. And she was most certainly an amazing teacher. I could never have gotten this far without her. Just what I thought. My mother. Jennifer spoke quietly, almost mumbling to herself. Mrs. Mary Margaret is your mother? Yes, she told me all about you day in and day out. At the time when you were in 7th grade, I was 16. I knew then that I wanted to be a book publisher and own my own company, Jennifer replied. I thought you were raised in New York, not Glowing Springs, stated Beth with confusion. I was. I lived with my dad and my mom lived with my brother. We all used to live up in New York until that fateful trip when we lost my sister. It drove our family apart. My mother decided to stay there and continue her search, but we all knew she was gone. I was given the option who I wanted to stay with, and my brother would go the other parent. He was too young to decide for himself. I chose to go with my dad because it would have been way too hard to live right by the mountains I lost my sister in. My mom called often and came to visit when she got a chance. Every time she'd call, the first thing she would say is how you were doing in school and how someday I might be your book publisher. I got so used to that being the first thing she would mention that every time I would ask her how you were doing. Now I call her and tell her how I publish books for you and about your latest ones. That's funny, the two of you switched places. I know it is, and I became your publisher just as she had said. I was thinking for a while that you were that student my mother once had in her class, but I wasn't 100% positive. Then, when you sent me your latest book, my mom was up and recognized it immediately. She told me to call you up and have you come up here so the two of you could talk. Both of you? Yeah, my mother was going to be at the meeting earlier today, but she said she couldn't make it. I told her fine, maybe we could do it tomorrow at the same time. So that's why you didn't mind calling off the meeting when things went with the printers didn't go well, said Beth, putting the pieces together. Right, that is exactly why I truly didn't care. If camping trip did not get destroyed, then I could have cared less about anything that would have happened and I would have been completely happy. Well, since we are doing our meeting now, I could call my mom and have her come over here so she may say what she wants to say. Sounds like a great idea. All right, then I'll get to calling her. Only a moment passed before Jennifer returned. My mom said she'll be over in a few minutes. Beth did not move from her spot on the couch, but Jennifer got up and went into the kitchen. Then she came back with a tray and set it down on the coffee table in front of the couch. Jennifer took off the tray 3 white teacups with a fancy flower design around the rim. She then took off the silver tray, a white plate with a matching design to the teacups. On the plate were all different kinds of cookies. She took the tea kettle on the tray and poured the tea into each of the cups. Then she took the tray back out into the kitchen. Just as she had put the tray down, a knock came from the door. Jennifer went over, and sure enough, it was her mother. "Hello, Mom," Jennifer greeted. "Glad to be here," she responded. "Come in. Beth is sitting on the couch waiting for you." Mary Margaret walked in and smiled when she saw how far her former student came. "Hello, Beth. It's great to see you again," Mary Margaret welcomed. "I know. It's so wonderful to see you, too," replied Beth, embracing her former teacher in a hug. Mary Margaret took a seat on the couch aside of Beth. "Please, help yourselves to cookies and tea," offered Jennifer. "Mrs. Mary Margaret, what was it you wanted to talk to me about?" asked Beth. "Well, there is plenty we can talk about. It has been ages since I've last seen you. I told you when you were back in 7th grade that you would become a great writer, and you most certainly did. When that week for writing your story was over, I was afraid you wouldn't ever finish writing it and give up on writing." Actually, I didn't really focus on writing until I was halfway through high school. Then I decided that I wanted to become a writer. That's good. I was hoping you would see that you were meant to be a writer. So, do you still live in Glowing Springs? Yes, of course, except now instead of the tiny apartment building, I am living in a big house in the mountains, responded Beth. Wow, that sounds amazing and really beautiful, Mary Margaret agreed. Yes, it is. When I first saw the mountains, it took my breath away, and I didn't want to leave them. Plus, it was the perfect place to escape all the troubles that I associated with that apartment. But I don't want to talk about that. How about you? Where are you living currently? I still live in Glowing Springs, same old house that never changed. Beth was a little surprised by her response, as she hadn't seen Mary Margaret in ages. She wondered why Jennifer had her come all the way up to New York if Mary Margaret still lived in Glowing Springs. It made no sense, but surely they had to be a purpose. I know you are getting older now, so when did you retire from teaching? Asked Beth. Retire? Are you kidding me? I am still teaching. I wouldn't give it up for anything. Well, except to save my family for whatever reason. Besides, I'm not that old yet. I'm only 65 years old. I didn't mean you were that old. I just meant as you get older, it's harder to do certain things. Oh, I know, but that isn't going to stop me from teaching. I love teaching so much. If I would ever retire, which I won't, what would I do after that? Well, sit home, relax, go on trips around the world, visit family, or do whatever you want. And become lazy like everyone else. Yeah, not happening. I am going to teach until I fall over. Mother, Jennifer yelled upset. Jennifer hates when her mother talks about her end because Jennifer knows it will happen and knows it will be hard for her to deal with as it was with her sister. Besides that, Jennifer wants to enjoy the time she has with Mary Margaret and not focus on the little time remaining, even if it is 30 years. Sorry, Jenny, I didn't mean to make you upset, but you know it's just a fact of life. No one lives forever, Mary Margaret replied gently. Yeah, I know, and you know I don't like you mentioning it or calling me Jenny, Jennifer said in a serious way, almost snapping, but still in a joking manner. Now Mrs. Mary Margaret was getting more silly and further off topic. Oh, I'm sorry, let me try that again. From as far and deep within the mountains of France comes the one and only Princess Jennifer Leah Anne Diana Blandford, Mrs. Mary Margaret replied in a teasing way. Jennifer rolled her eyes. What is she talking about? Who is Leah Anne Diana? Asked Beth, completely confused. When I was little, my mother always used to call me Princess, and she would say my entire name. I would always have her announce me like that every morning when I woke up because it was fun, but now it simply drives me crazy, answered Jennifer, rolling her eyes. So your full name is Jennifer Leah Anne Diana Blandford? Yes, I know it's a long one. True, but a very pretty one. And don't forget complicated. That's why whenever people asked what my middle name was, I simply tell them Diana, instead of Leah Ann Diana. I see, that does make it much more simple, Beth agreed. Indeed it does. When I was in kindergarten, I was outside on the playground with my best friend, and she asked me what my middle name was, so I told her my full middle name. It confused her so much. She tried to remember it, but couldn't no matter how hard she tried. So that is when I decided to just say Diana. That would make sense. I probably would have done the same if I had a long name like you. Now, Mrs. Mary Margaret, I am sure you have a lot more on your mind to talk about, Beth replied, getting the conversation back on topic. Sure I do, plenty. Oh, Jennifer, you know what you should do? Stated Mary Margaret, as though she was planning something, or was going to make another joke. What? Questioned Jennifer, not completely trusting what her mother was about to say. You should read to us Camping Trip, like you always used to read to me when you were younger. Then Beth would be able to see one of your first writings like her 7th grade one. That's it, I had it, Jennifer exploded. She stood up and stormed off. I don't know how that made her upset. She loves reading Camping Trip to me. And I'm sure you would love to hear it too, Mrs. Mary Margaret replied, completely unaware of the situation. I guess you don't know what happened earlier today, then, do you? Asked Beth. Well, Jennifer canceled the meeting with you, and then for whatever reason she decided to have you come over right now, Mary Margaret answered. Not exactly. Come over here with me. Beth led Mary Margaret over to Jennifer's desk. Here is her book, Camping Trip. What happened to it? It's all covered in ink. There was a printer accident earlier, and the bookshelf fell over, and all the books got covered in ink. Then Jennifer came back upstairs to the room where I was waiting and told me to come back tomorrow at the same time to finish our meeting. However, later I decided I needed to go check on Jennifer to make sure she is all right. Oh dear, that's terrible. Now I wish I'd never mentioned anything about camping trip. Perhaps I should go talk to her, suggested Mary Margaret, feeling terrible. Let her be. She needs to cool off for a little. You can finish what else you wanted to talk to me about. Oh, all right. One thing I definitely wanted to point out is how far you've come since 7th grade and greatly improved. I'm so very proud of you, Beth. Thanks. I never would have gotten here without you and that story. Speaking of which, do you still have the students write a short story at the end of each school year? Beth asked curiously. Yes, that is the best part of the year. All students love an open assignment that can be about whatever their hearts desire. Besides, it helps them open up their minds and see what they can really do. I love seeing sparks within my students like I saw with you. If you ever need my help with anything, it doesn't have to be writing. Let me know. Well, I do need help with one thing. Whatever would that be? Questioned Mary Margaret. My daughter Tahra. I cannot find her anywhere, and I know she would never run away, which I would be searching for her right now, but Jennifer insisted I come at this exact time. Any suggestions? Great, more problems I've caused, she mumbled to herself and then continued, When did you last see her? After school on Monday, Kate, her sister, said she was up in her room writing another song, and that was the end. She vanished. Perhaps she went out into the mountains for a walk and got lost, suggested Mary Margaret as she remembered her other daughter's terrible fate. We rode out on horses and began searching the mountains, but we found nothing, not even a trace. Kate even went to the highest peak and called for her, but she didn't respond. I hate to say it, but maybe like my daughter Carabella, the mountains swallowed her. Oh no, I sure hope that isn't true. Besides, who knows, your daughter might still be out there. I am pretty sure she isn't. We searched everywhere, but found no signs of her anywhere. Much like Kate, we called for her, but she never responded. Maybe Tahra is still out there, but you better hurry and find her before something bad does happen to her. I will, but Tahra is strong, and she will be fine until help finds her, Beth declared, and then quietly added, I hope. I don't know about that. Even the strongest fall, especially when they are all alone. Stop being so negative, please, Beth pleaded near tears. Sorry, I was just putting the thought out there. No, it's fine. I just rather not think of all the bad that could happen to my little Tahra, that's all. Well, it was nice talking to you again. You can stop by my place whenever you want, but I better get going. It's getting late, Mary Margaret claimed, looking at her watch. What time is it? Right now, it's 11:15. It's that late? Yes, I know. Time does fly. Well, have a good night and a safe trip back home. Thanks. You too. It was nice seeing you again. Yeah, it was. Goodbye. Then she called out, Bye, Jenny. I'm leaving. Take care. Jennifer was upstairs on her bed with her laptop open, rewriting Camping Trip. She heard her mom, but ignored her. Some days that woman would get on her nerves, and she couldn't stand her. This just happened to be one of those times. As she sat there writing, her cat jumped up on her bed and started rubbing up against her. Jennifer sighed and paused to ruffle her cat's fur. Mary Margaret walked up the stairs to Jennifer's room. Now, darling, come say goodbye to your guest. Jennifer continued to ignore her and kept writing her book. Mary Margaret walked up to the side of the bed. Hold on a second, Jenny. You have a grammar error right there. Allow me to fix it. Fine, but I don't see any, Jennifer replied with edginess still in her voice. Sure, it's right here, Mary Margaret said, highlighting all that Jennifer had typed. Then she pressed the backspace and closed out of the program. Mary Margaret then closed the laptop, hinting to Jennifer she needs to let go of the past. You can rewrite it tomorrow. It is late and you need to get to bed. Now say goodbye to your guest, Beth. All right, fine, I'm going, said Jennifer, getting up and heading down the stairs. Beth was just about to go out the door. Beth, wait, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. Thanks for all your help and making me feel better. I'm glad I was able to make you feel better. Take care, Beth replied. Thanks, you too. Bye now. Then Beth exited the house. The next day, at the Sia paper, a beautiful melody was being sung by the birds up in the treetops. Ocean waves lapped at the shore. Squeaks and clicks came from the dolphins swimming close to the shore. Everything was perfect and cheerful, but then Tahra realized it made absolutely no sense. How in the world was she hearing these sounds when this was a silent island? Tahra came to the conclusion she was dreaming, But when she opened her shelter door, she saw the sea of paper was water. 2 dolphins swam in it, and one had white speckles. It was Snowflake and Nicole, the dolphins she made out of origami.